Thanks so much for watching Ever News Live. I'm Francesca Maxime. Here's a look at the top stories making headlines all around the world at this hour. Bad news for good health in the U.S. Flu cases are starting earlier and more are being reported, with states of emergency being declared in several states. We'll tell you which ones. The president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, makes an unusual trip to the United States to meet with political leaders. First stop, Republican House Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and then on to President Obama. We'll tell you what they're talking about. Well, if you've ever tried to hail a cab in New York City, you know it's not always easy, but it's also getting tough in France, where taxi drivers are protesting government moves they say will decrease their earnings. And it is Oscar time. If you love movies, we've got the hits for you, from Best Actor and Actress to Best Picture and Best Director. We'll tell you who the nominees are and when the winners will be announced. Well, in the United States, an increase in flu cases has prompted some cities to declare a state of emergency. Health officials say there are more cases than usual, and they have started earlier than usual.
The number of people suffering from the flu in the U.S. is almost 10 times higher than last year in some cities. In Boston, the city has declared a public health emergency and will begin offering free flu vaccinations. Health authorities said flu season usually starts in December, but began in November this year. The particular flu strain going around, H3N2, has a reputation for causing fairly severe illness, especially among the elderly. Hospitals around the country are running out of space, and some have had to turn people away. The U.S. Center for Disease Control recommends that everyone over the age of 6 months get a flu shot.
Well, in New York City, a crane has collapsed onto a building under construction near the East River waterfront, injuring 7 people, 3 of whom needed to be rescued from underneath the fallen machinery. The red crane toppled around 2:30 p.m. local time Wednesday, sprawling across the metal scaffolding and wood planking that made up the first-floor skeleton of a residential building in Queens. Workers putting up the second-floor framework scrambled to get out of the way. The people who had to be extricated from underneath the crane suffered a range of injuries, including broken bones being the most severe. None of the injuries, however, was life-threatening. Well, after the Newtown school massacre, President Barack Obama promised to tackle gun control with concrete proposals by the end of January. Now, Vice President Joe Biden, in charge of that process, says the president means business and isn't backing down.
President Barack Obama is determined to take action against gun violence. He is considering executive orders aimed at preventing attacks like the Newtown massacre last month. Vice President Joe Biden opened a White House meeting with gun violence victims and gun control advocates to craft a package of recommendations to the president. Walmart, the nation's largest gun retailer, will sit in at the meetings as well.
We're here today to deal with a problem that requires immediate action, urgent action, and the President and I are determined to take action. If our actions result in only saving one life, they're worth taking, but I'm convinced we can affect the well-being of millions of Americans and take thousands of people out of harm's way if we act responsibly.
The administration is considering a combination of executive actions and legislation.
I want to make it clear that we are not going to get caught up in the notion unless we can do everything, we're going to do nothing. It's critically important we act.
Biden has to come up with ideas to curb gun violence. The president is expected to present them in his State of the Union address, delivered in late January.
I want it clear to the American public that on behalf of the president, we're reaching out to all parties on whatever side of this debate you fall. But the president is going to act.
Biden's task force is examining legislation that would ban assault rifles. It is also looking at the role of violent movies and video games and whether there is adequate access to mental health services.
Well, President Obama continues to make changes to his cabinet. Timothy Geithner will no longer serve as the Treasury Secretary in the White House. Chief of Staff to Obama, Jack Lew, is expected to be the lead pick for the Treasury Department head role. An announcement is expected by the end of the week. White House officials have yet to confirm the move, but aides didn't dispute Lew as the consensus choice. Obama is choosing Lew because of his wide variety of government and private sector experience. Lew previously led the Office of Management and Budget and oversaw international economic issues at the State Department. He's also played a key role in financial negotiations between the White House and Capitol Hill. Well, insurance giant AIG got a hefty bailout package way back in 2008 that virtually saved it from bankruptcy. Although they ultimately did decide against it, some shareholders had recently considered suing the government over the deal in a move that isn't helping the company's image.
How do you say thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you sue someone to say thank you?
No.
If you're insurance giant AIG, you consider it. Just days after AIG released this video,
we've repaid every dollar America lent us.
Thanking America for bailing it out.
Thank you, America.
Thank you, America.
Thank you, America.
The gratitude left, and a potential lawsuit replaced it.
What AIG is doing is absolutely ludicrous. It is absolutely wrong. They shouldn't be doing it.
A little more than 4 years ago, this country faced the worst economic meltdown since the Depression. AIG made bets on mortgage security, but those bets didn't pay off. The company was near collapse until taxpayers rescued it with a $182 billion bailout. Fast forward to this week when news hit that AIG was considering suing the same people that saved it. Thanks a lot. On Wednesday afternoon, the company reportedly decided against the lawsuit, but attorney Scott Major says it's insane that they even thought of it.
People need to understand that bankruptcy would have been the option. Company would have been destroyed, broken up, resold, or even if they had reorganized, it would have been a horrible situation compared to what they have now, the windfall they have now.
AIG says legally they had to consider the suit because it's their obligation to do what's in the best interest of the company.
Trying to manufacture a reason to justify this ridiculous behavior doesn't make it any better or any smarter. What they should be doing is recognizing they got a gift from the government and they should be grateful.
All right, well, on to Afghanistan now. President Hamid Karzai met with Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell and 3 members of the Foreign Relations Committee and Armed Services Committee in Washington, D.C. Wednesday.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're proud to have President Karzai back in America to discuss our mutual goals for his country, and hope that your discussions with the administration and members of Congress are fruitful.
The trip has just begun, and I'll be meeting over 2 days with members of the Senate and the administration. I hope we get back to Afghanistan what the Afghans expect of me to take back to.
Well, tomorrow, President Obama and Karzai are set to discuss how many U.S. troops might remain in Afghanistan after 2014. The U.S. has 66,000 troops in Afghanistan, down from a peak of about 100,000 as recently as 2010. As was initially the case in Iraq, U.S. officials are considering keeping between 3,000 and 15,000 American troops in Afghanistan after 2014. That would not happen, however, if U.S. troops are denied legal immunity from prosecution in Afghanistan, which ultimately is what ended the same negotiations in Iraq. To North Korea now, Google Executive Chairman Eric Schmidt urged North Korea to shed its self-imposed isolation and allow its citizens to use the internet or risk staying behind economically after seeing the tightly controlled country on a private visit.
Once the internet starts, citizens in a country can certainly build on top of it, but the government has to do something. They have to make it possible for people to use the internet, which the government in North Korea has not yet done. It's their choice now, and time, in my view, it's time now for them to start, or they will remain behind. Thank you.
Well, Well, Schmidt joined former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, that you saw pictured next to him there, in a delegation that also urged North Korea to put a moratorium on missile launches and nuclear tests that have prompted UN sanctions and sought fair treatment for a detained American citizen there. The delegation toured technology facilities in North Korea, where most people have access only to a computer intranet that does not connect with the World Wide Web, and met with students and North Korean officials. Well, it sure is hot in Australia. Fire crews there are bracing for yet more extreme conditions that are expected to sweep across the country this weekend.
Our main focus today is to consolidate the containment lines, do as much work as we can before difficult conditions return tomorrow.
Cooler conditions provided a brief respite for many crews and gave them the chance to build earth breaks to try and contain some of the blazes. Scores of dangerous wildfires had set much of the country on fire across New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, and Queensland. There were around 100 fires burning on Thursday afternoon, of which 15 remained uncontained. A statewide fire ban has been announced for the entire state of New South Wales in an attempt to limit the damage from further blazes. Temperatures were expected to reach 104 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit for New South Wales Friday. Well, to Paris, France now. 3 Kurdish women, including a founding member of the PKK militant group, were shot dead overnight, sparking Kurdish demonstrations in the French capital.
A crowd of several hundred Kurdish demonstrators make impassioned cries as the bodies of 3 Kurdish women, shot dead execution style overnight, are taken away. One of the slain women is said to be a founding member of the Kurdistan Workers' Party. The bodies of the women were found early on Thursday at the Information Center of Kurdistan in central Paris. 2 of those killed were shot in the head and 1 in the stomach. The murder weapon was believed to have been fitted with a silencer. French Interior Minister Manuel Valls visited the scene to condemn what he said was a grave act. It was not immediately clear who had carried out the killings, but the PKK militant group has seen internal feuding during an armed campaign in the mountainous Turkish southeast that's killed 40,000 people since 1984. The killings come shortly after Turkey announced it had opened talks with jailed PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan. The PKK is designated a terrorist group by Turkey, the United States, and the European Union.
While staying in France now, taxi drivers all across the country are putting on the brakes to intentionally clog up traffic, slow access to airports, and force would-be passengers to find alternate transport, all in strike over government reforms. Thousands of cab drivers lined up in single file on roadsides across the country without taking any fares in protest over government efforts to deregulate the transportation industry. Taxi associations say reforms that allow for new taxi-like chauffeur businesses and give private companies the chance to transport ill patients will hurt their fares. At Paris's Orly Airport, with riot police on hand, scores of taxi drivers prevented access to the drop-off point at the West Terminal, forcing air travelers to walk further to get inside. The slow drive was also planned for other cities such as Marseille, Bordeaux, and Nice. Well, to India now. Not guilty. That is the plea that 3 suspects arrested in the brutal gang rape and murder of a young woman on a New Delhi bus are planning to enter. That, according to their lawyer. Attorney Manohar Lal Sharma is claiming that police manipulated evidence to make his clients appear guilty and even beat the suspects to force confessions.
3 of the suspects in the brutal rape and killing of a young woman on a New Delhi bus will plead not guilty to the attack, according to their lawyer. Manohar Lal Sharma hinted that police had tampered with evidence and claims that his 3 clients, bus driver Ram Singh, Singh's brother Mukesh, and a third man, Akshay Thakur, are innocent.
Some of the accused people have called me. Then I found the matter is so heinous that it needs a proper justice, because this is the matter by which I want to establish in India that how a manipulated evidence are being placed for fixing the innocent people. If evidence is the true, then there is no problem. But I believe by way of the manipulated evidence, by way of the torture, you cannot allow, we will not allow any person to fix any innocent person for any kind of the punishment. You did the torture, you have already punished these people worse than the whatever punishment deserved by an accused person.
The lawyer spoke briefly on his way into a New Delhi court for a hearing for the 5 men charged with attacking the 23-year-old woman and her male companion on a bus as it was driven through the streets of India's capital. Meanwhile, prosecutors last week claimed that a DNA test confirmed that the blood of the victim matched bloodstains found on the clothes of all the accused.
Well, it is good news for Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The top court in that country has endorsed postponing his inauguration this week, and in so doing, ruling that he remains president.
Breathing room for Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. On Wednesday, Venezuela's top court endorsed the postponement of his inauguration. It ruled that the cancer-stricken president would continue in his role. Critics had argued that the 58-year-old's absence from his own swearing in on January 10th meant a caretaker president must be appointed. Now the court is saying they cannot say when, how, or where the president will be sworn in. Chavez has not been seen in public nor heard from in almost a month, following surgery in Cuba. It leaves the South American country in the hands of Vice President Nicolas Maduro as de facto leader of the government. His resignation or death would transform politics in the OPEC nation, where he's revered by poor supporters, thankful for his social largesse, but denounced by opponents as a dictator.
Well, to Canada now, a community in Quebec's far north is calling for outside help to free about a dozen killer whales trapped under a vast stretch of sea ice. Locals say the mammals gathered around a single hole in the ice, which is slightly bigger than a pickup truck, in a desperate bid to get oxygen. The mayor is urging the Canadian government to send an icebreaker to crack open the ice and help them find open water. A hunter first spotted the pod of about a dozen trapped whales at the hole Tuesday, located on the eastern shore of the Hudson Bay. The recent sudden drop in temperature caught the whales off guard, leaving them boxed in under that ice. To Russia now, a volcano in far eastern Russia that began erupting in November after lying dormant for almost 40 years continues to spew lava and ash. Russian scientists said that there were no signs that the PLOSKY TOLBACHIK volcano will stop erupting anytime soon. They said the volcano regularly emits jets of burning hot lava of up to nearly 700 feet high. A group of scientists has flown to the foot of the volcano to monitor its activities for 24 hours a day. Despite being situated on Russia's far eastern Kamchatka Peninsula, the volcano has attracted some tourists. However, local officials do warn tourists and locals against visiting the area due to the hot lava and poisonous gases that come to the surface during the eruption. Don't get too close. Well, free Wi-Fi internet service. You typically can find it at your neighborhood Dunkin' Donuts, maybe, or Starbucks, but thanks to Google Script, the whole New York City neighborhood of Chelsea will get it all for free, all 7,000 residents.
If you don't already know it, you know it now. The neighborhood of Chelsea is getting free Wi-Fi thanks to Google. In partnership with the Chelsea Improvement Company, the CIC, the search giant brings internet access to 7,000 local residents and thousands of visitors. Not bad for a company who has settled in this neighborhood since 2006, and their office encompasses an entire block.
It's probably better for them because once you get online, you use their service, so as long as you're not tracking everything. I've been using it this today. It's really great. I think it's great that Google provide, they take up a lot of space in the area. This will be the first New York City neighborhood to be completely Wi-Fi enabled. The network costs $149,000 to install, and it costs $51,000 a month to maintain. Google and the CIC will split the cost.
I think that's pretty cool considering not everybody has data plans on their phone, so it'll be easy to get to know where you're going or be able to search things up.
Free Wi-Fi stretches from the 10-block area surrounding the Google office, from 8th Avenue to the West Side Highway, and from Gansevoort to 18th Street.
Yeah, I think people are definitely going to be jealous, and they'll be happy when they come here.
Located above the city streets is the Highline Park, and free Wi-Fi stretches all the way up here. While it's still too cold to work on computers, come this spring, this area is going to be filled with internet geeks. Reporting from Manhattan, New York, this is Maria Katsandoval for Ebru News.
All right, from Wi-Fi to tablet computers, they are ruling the roost at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. From special gaming tablets to apps that can control toys, the mini computer is making great strides.
There's a new kid on the tablet block, and it likes to play games. Razer has unveiled the world's most powerful tablet computer for gaming, the Razer Edge.
We're showing off the Razer Edge. It's a PC gaming tablet. It's the world's first tablet designed for PC gamers. This is essentially the most powerful tablet in the world. It runs a Intel Core i7 processor with an NVIDIA GeForce GT 640 graphics card.
The Razer Edge product line runs Microsoft's latest Windows 8 operating system, the base model being equipped with an Intel i5 processor and a state-of-the-art graphics processor. And when not in gaming mode, the Razer transforms into a regular tablet. Another big draw at the CES is the app-controlled toy ball called Sphero. The robotic ball created by Orbotics can be controlled by smartphone or a tablet.
It is controlled by the phone, so you can control it and tell it where to go, but it actually has a programming language on it that we call OrbBasic, so you can totally automate all of Sphero's behaviors.
The Sphero is for all types of smartphones and is a toy for geeks both young and old.
Yeah, so this is a geek's toy. It's a family toy. I mean, it's, you know, the kid's toy, the pet's toy. My cats love this toy, so.
My cat might like that toy too. A little too expensive though. All right, Los Angeles' Nokia Theater played host to the 39th annual People's Choice Awards last night, and the biggest winner of the night was the film and the cast of The Hunger Games.
Hunger Games devoured the competition at the People's Choice Awards last night, emerging the top victor with 5 trophies. The Hunger Games was named Favorite Movie, Action Movie, and Movie Franchise, and stars Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, and Liam Hemsworth had the fans' favorite on-screen chemistry. Lawrence also won Favorite Movie Actress and Face of Heroism. Among those who hit the red carpet, pop star Taylor Swift and the band The Wanted, who promised and later delivered a rendition of Afternoon Delight if they won the People's Choice Award.
Thinking I was working on my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon daylight. Rubbing sixes so good to get in its box at night, and the thought of rubbing you was getting so exciting. Skyrockets in flight.
We haven't really won an award that's been a public vote. I don't think we've won an award full stop, so it'd be, it's nice to be nominated, and fingers crossed.
Katy Perry won 3 awards at the Wednesday night ceremony. Perry was named the fans' favorite female artist, pop artist, and her video for Part of Me also won.
All right, from People's Choice to Oscar time. If you love the movies, listen up. The Civil War saga Lincoln leads the Academy Award nominations for Best Picture, 12 nominations, director for Steven Spielberg, acting honors for Daniel Day-Lewis, Sally Field, and Tommy Lee Jones.
For Best Original Screenplay, the nominees are John Gatins for Flight, Mark Bowl for Zero Dark 30, Quentin Tarantino for Django Unchained, Michael Haneke for Amour, and Wes Anderson and Roman Coppola for Moonrise Kingdom.
For Best Achievement in Directing, the nominees are David O. Russell for Silver Linings Playbook, Ang Lee for Life of Pi, Steven Spielberg for Lincoln, Michael Haneke for Amour, and Ben Zeitlin for Beasts of the Southern Wild. These are 5 people who are the very best at sitting in a chair watching other people make a movie.
Of course, that's the host of the announcement ceremony there, Seth MacFarlane, cracking a joke. Also among the 9 nominees for Best Picture on Thursday, the old age love story Amour, the Iran hostage thriller Argo, the independent hit Beasts of the Southern Wild, the slave revenge narrative Django Unchained, the musical Les Miserables, the shipwreck story Life of Pi, the Lost Souls romance Silver Linings Playbook, and the Osama bin Laden manhunt chronicle Zero Dark 30 by female director Catherine Bigelow. Oscar winners will be announced on February 24th. So just over a month away. That's always a fun time. Get your popcorn and watch that one. All right, thanks so much for watching this edition of Ebru News Live. I'm Francesca Maxime. Please stay tuned to Ebru News for all the latest headlines. Have a great day.